And action.
Hi guys, this is something I've been wanting to do for a while with my friend Jordan here, who's a chiropractor and a personal trainer as well. I think there's a lot of questions out there around health and fitness for beginners, for, regular people who work out, for athletes. There's just a lot of questions out there. And so we're just going to ask and answer questions, and we're going to call it Question for Question. Question for Question.
Question for question. How fun.
So let's just jump right in. We got some
it.
note cards here. We have 10 questions today.
Yeah.
And if there's more questions afterwards, we'll write them down and we'll do it again. Cool?
Yeah. Ask questions, put it in the comments.
Yeah.
Tag it.
Let us know what you want to know.
Let us know.
Cool. All right. What's one thing you wish every beginner understood before starting their fitness journey?
Okay.
That's a good question.
Number one thing would be consistency. Consistency over everything. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be complicated. Consistency, and then maybe number two, simplicity. Like if you can make it repeatable and do it day in and day out for as long as possible, consecutively. And if you miss a day, that's fine, but just consistency. What about you? What would you say?
Yeah, I agree. I think we have a tendency to overcomplicate things. And so if there was someone beginning, I would say stick to one thing, master that thing, get it a part of your regular routine, and then add something else, right? Instead of overcomplicating and I'm going to run 4 days this week, and I'm going to lift 7 out of 7 days this week, and I'm going to eat healthy every single breakfast and every single dinner and every single lunch. Instead of doing it all at once, let's just commit to one thing. So maybe this week I'm going to strength train 4 days a week. And I'm going to do that this week, and then I'm going to stack it, and I'm going to do it next week, and then I'm going to stack it and do it the next week. And once I feel like I have that under control, then let's add something else. Then let's add cardio. Then let's add diet.
For sure. For sure.
So.
And if it's like weight training, it doesn't have to be, chest, back, legs, shoulders, arms. Just make it, full body 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Can you do that for 3 weeks in a row and then add another day?
Yeah.
Because life is changing and variable, and if you have kids have to go here or there, or things come up. And so it's those things where when you overextend yourself or you overcommit, and then you get knocked down, and then you feel like all is lost. Small steps of progress are better than general life changes that only last for 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, progress isn't linear. Sometimes we peak and then we hit a valley, and then we peak and then we hit a valley, and then we peak, and then it's not just a straight line to the top.
For sure. Sure.
Cool.
All right.
Next question.
Next question, and question for question. Can walking alone actually be an efficient form of fitness?
Ooh. Yes, with a caveat though.
Caveat.
I think walking is an excellent way to move your body, and an easy way, right? You don't have to pay anything. You can just walk out the door and go for a walk. But if it's the only thing you're doing and your diet's not also following, you're not going to hit your goals. Steps are super important, but it can't be the only thing.
I'll agree that it's not the only thing, but I would think that if you're just starting to try a fitness journey, I would make that the number one, even before strength training X number of days a week. The number one non-negotiable is hit your steps, whether that be 8,000 steps or 10,000 steps or 12,000 steps. Mm-hmm. Get some kind of a tracker, track it, try and hit it consistently. And that would be at least the first place to start, because I think that is the most effective way to gauge, did you move enough? Yeah. Did you burn enough calories? Did you, that's just the best way to track it, in my opinion. Yeah. And it's the most manageable.
Were you being sedentary today, or were you being active?
For sure.
Steps is the first one.
So I think walking is one of the most important things, hands down.
Cool. Is the 10,000 steps day rule actually based on science? Funny that this question.
Now this does seem like we set it up like that. We did not.
I shuffled them. It was random.
So 10,000 steps, not based on science initially. Originally, a Japanese market team came up with this 10,000 steps idea to sell pedometers. And since then, there has been science to back up that that's really helpful. Basically, more movement, the better movement. If you hit 8,000 steps, I think it's something like, I can't remember, 53% decrease in mortality, and then like 8,000 steps is like 65%. Don't hold me to those numbers. Read Built to Move if you want to find the actual numbers. Kelly Starrett,
It's
phenomenal,
fantastic.
phenomenal book. But they have found a lot of supporting evidence since that number has been kind of put on the board, as it's a really good place to shoot for. But like we said in our last question, if you are something like an 8 to 5 sedentary lifestyle, you get a Garmin or a Fitbit or some kind of a fitness tracker, and you notice you're only doing 4,000 steps a day, shoot for 6,000. Once you do that for 2 or 3 weeks, go to 8,000. More steps, always the better, and always the better for your cardiovascular and your longevity. So not initially built on science, but since it's been said, science has supported it. Yeah. So there you go.
Cool. Spoken beautifully. Next
right.
question. You're up.
It is me.
Not me.
Are glute activation exercises before a workout a must, or just trendy fluff?
Okay. I'm going to say trendy fluff.
Okay.
However, another caveat.
Yeah.
However, I think they can be beneficial for the right people.
Yeah.
I don't think that this is something that has to be in everyone's like warm-up routine, but if you have a tendency to have what they call sleepy glutes, even though we all know, like, we don't all know this, but your glutes can't actually go to sleep, right? They're just not activating properly. And so if you need that cue at the beginning of a workout to remind yourself to engage your core and engage your glutes the right way, then yeah, you should do glute activator movements. But
yeah,
if you don't need that, then you don't need it. I think it's just kind of an industry fluff right now.
I think, yeah, as a TikTok, Instagram reel trendy thing, it's fluff for sure. Coming from a chiropractic and like physical therapy point of view, if your client has back pain and they can do some glute bridges or something like that, and how it helps to downregulate pain and help refresh the motor program to think in this movement you go glutes first, I think it's beneficial. But like you said, it's specific to the client and to your patient. I don't think that, and when we think of like, who's doing these trendy warm-up things, we're thinking like 20-somethings, 30-somethings who are in really good shape already. For that population, I would think it's more trendy fluff than anything. So
for sure.
Good question.
Heard. Should you be working out when you are sore?
Okay. Every one of these questions is like, yes, but.
Yes, but.
Yeah. So
there's not a linear answer.
Soreness is a couple of different things. Where does it come from? It comes from delayed onset muscle soreness, DOMS. It comes from, metabolite buildup in your muscles. So, not enough circulation getting those metabolites out of the muscle. It can create some soreness, just tissue damage in general, right? So why are you still sore? Are you sore because you're new to exercise, and how many days has it been? If you're just starting exercising and you did a full body exercise on Monday, the rule of thumb is don't lift the same muscle groups within 48 hours of the time you did it. So full body Monday, don't do it again until Wednesday. Or if you did chest on Monday, don't do chest on Tuesday, do something else. So if it's been outside of 48 hours and you're cripplingly sore, then I would say wait. But if it's been like 3 or 4 days, I think it's okay to move through that soreness. But if it's been 2 weeks and you're sore and then you worked out again and you stayed sore, well, then you're just not recovering.
Right.
So you need to look at that. So
yeah,
what would you say?
I think recovery is an important note there. Like, are you eating enough protein? Right. If you're getting past that 3-4 day mark and you're still sore from that workout, are you eating enough protein? That's my first question. And then second question is, are you moving outside of that workout? Like if you just go to the gym and you work out and then you go home and you sit on the couch or sit at your desk all day and then you do it again the next day and again the next day, you're probably going to be sore because, your body needs that blood flow and it needs to move that lactic acid and move the metabolites out, and you're not giving it the opportunity to do that. So yeah, now, if you're really sore and it's been 3 days and you're still like, what on earth is happening? Like sometimes things happen and your body's just beat down. Maybe you're more stressed than you think. I would say go to the gym and move. Like go do the workout, maybe dumb down your reps or, bring down your capacity, bring down your weight a little bit to, maybe if you're doing 100 pounds, bring it down to 50 pounds,
Right.
Go to 50%, at least do the movement. That
For
way
sure.
you're moving your body and you're not sitting.
Deload weeks are pretty popular right now in fitness, and I think they're phenomenal because of that exact reason. You can't peak every week, 52 weeks out of the year. 5-6 weeks in a row, then take a deload week, only work out twice, do half the reps, something like that. Give your nervous system a break, let it catch up, so you're not sore week in and week out.
Yeah.
And if you are doing a bro split or a upper lower split or something like that, and you worked out on Monday and it's Friday and you're hitting the same muscle groups and you're not recovering, then maybe look at a deload week.
Yeah.
But still go and move. We're not saying don't move. We're just saying don't go give 110%, because not every workout is a win.
No, and we don't always have to be pushing weights. We don't always have to be upping our weight from last time.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to stay stagnant occasionally.
For sure. Okay. All right.
This one.
So coffee before a workout, yes or no?
I love this question. Okay. So no.
No. All right.
Okay. So I guess I would allow it, right? If you're working out in the morning and you just feel like you have to have your coffee, you have to have your caffeine, I would say, okay, if you must, that's fine, but you have to have food.
You gotta have food.
Especially if you're a woman, like you have to have food.
Okay.
You have to, there's so much science around, and I'm going to try not to get super sciencey, but there's so much science around our hypothalamus is hypersensitive to blood glucose. And so when we go in and we work out on an empty tummy, our body goes into like reserve mode. And it's like, oh my gosh, we got to hold on to everything. We're fighting for our life. And you'll find that you won't, while you're burning calories while you're moving, you won't be burning the visceral fat or the subcutaneous fat that you want to burn through. And instead, your body's just going to hang on to it. And so I would say if you want coffee, that's fine, but make sure you're eating breakfast. And then, if you don't want to eat and go work out because you think you're going to throw up, that's fine. I get that. Same. So like just eat a granola bar or half of a granola bar, just something to like tell your brain, no, we're good. Yeah. And then your brain's like, okay, cool. We can burn whatever we need to.
All right. I will disagree only on no science at all, no basis for this other than bro life, get up, pre-workout, hit the gym, fasted state.
You guys can do that.
Yeah. Though. For guys, I think it's all specific, right? How do you feel? If you can get up and go work out and give like 100% and you're continually making PRs and you're growing and you're recovering, I don't think it's as big of a deal. I have seen what you're saying. I think Dr. Stacy Sims was who you're referring to.
She does a lot
with the women in the morning not working out fasted, and I think that's really interesting information. But I don't know how applicable it is to guys. And, like you said, there's some people who've been, what do you mean? Do I have to work out now? I've never been, I always get up and drink my coffee and I go straight to the gym. I work out after. If that's what you've been doing for years, then I don't think it's a huge thing you need to change. I think we're just talking to just people who are just starting to think, try it one way, try it the other way. If you feel bad,
for sure,
either give yourself more time after you ate or try and eat before you go.
Right.
So,
and again, to emphasize, men are so much different than women. Like women, our bodies our metabolisms need other things that men don't, because we grow babies in our tummies and men don't. And so it's just, our hormones are different, our brains are different. And so, if you're curious at all and you're wondering, is what I'm doing the right thing? Or, if you want to change things up, I would urge you to go do your own research, look into it, comment on here, ask questions, and figure out what's going to be best for you.
Yeah. Trial and error.
Yeah. And
right.
Younger and older people are different too. I'm up.
All right.
Is stretching before a workout necessary or overrated? This is another one that has there is no clear answer.
Yeah. And you're going to have people on both sides, championing their side.
Stretch.
So number one, warm up. Like just whatever your warm up is, warm up. If you can break a sweat, if you can increase your core temperature a little bit, you're going to be less likely to damage yourself, injure yourself, number one. So just warm up. Doesn't matter if it's treadmill, elliptical,
It can be
if
a
you're a
simple
psychopath in burpees, you know,
if you want to
walk.
do burpees, you do burpees.
We would both, I would imagine, agree that static stretching, like the 80s, 90s, and today, just sitting out there trying to touch your toes and just like that long form static stretching, not great before a workout. Dynamic stretching, where you're doing high knees, butt kicks, you know, maybe cars, you know, trying to work your range of motion. I think that's wonderful. I think the main thing here is if you don't have the range of motion to complete a lift, you need to recover that. So whether it's doing mobility like a Kelly Starrett, mobility drill, you know, supple leopard, something along that lines, or if it's as simple as like it's a squat day and you've been sleeping or you've been at work all day sitting in a chair, you might want to spend some time in a good position of a squat position with like a moderate load or a little bit of load. But then again, that's a warm up.
Right.
So I would say no to isometric stretching.
Yeah.
Yes to dynamic stretching.
Yeah, I agree. Anything that's going to get your heart rate up. I think dynamic stretching is not necessarily, I wouldn't even call it dynamic stretching. I would call it dynamic movement, right? Like just doing moves, you know, lunging across the room, body weight only, you know, just doing something that's going to get your heart rate up and it's going to kind of like proverbially lube up your joints, right?
100%.
Like get your body ready for movement.
100%. Increase circulation to the area.
Cold to hot. Yeah.
For sure. And if you're young and you're like 20 and you're going into the gym and you're going straight from work to the gym to 135 to 225 to, you know, and then that's it. Like just spend some time warming up, or else you're going to be the guy in the gym being like, oh man, I used to be able to do that, but my blew up my shoulder and now I just, you know, I don't go heavy anymore. If you want to keep going heavy, spend some time warming up.
For sure. Who did the last one? You? Me? You.
Does lifting heavy weights make women bulky?
Ha! No.
No.
Hard no.
Hard no.
Like I feel like we don't need to explain, but we will.
Sure.
No. The answer is no. Women are built differently than men, as we said earlier. Women
lifting heavy weights doesn't even make some men bulky.
Some men don't get bulky lifting heavy weights.
It's just your
so
body.
Much of like getting bulky is what are you eating?
Yeah,
like,
are you eating enough
calories?
Are you
in a calorie surplus?
Yeah.
You know, are you eating protein? Are you like so much of bulking is that, not necessarily your movement. Now, there's intentional movement that can make you bulky, but if you're just going into the gym and lifting and, you know, progressively overloading innocently and not trying to bulk, you're not going to get bulky. Men have type 1 muscle fibers. Women have type 2 muscle fiber. We both have both, but we are dominant in type 2. They're dominant in type 1. And like our muscles are just different. So no, you're not going to get bulky.
Not going to get bulky at all. Even if you...
I'm a string bean. Do you see me? Like, I'm a string bean and I've been lifting for 3 years.
Even if your goal as a woman is to get bulky, it's going to be incredibly hard. It's not saying it's not possible, but it's going to take years and years and years. And there's no woman who's starting who in 3 to 6 months is going to be bulky and be like, oh my gosh, I'm too far.
Right.
Like if you're getting comfortable with where your body is, then just slow down and maintain. It's not going to happen overnight. No. I wish. It'd be
nice.
Yeah. Okay.
My turn?
Your turn.
What's more important, consistency or intensity?
I think that was the first question I'm going to call back to. Consistency all day.
There's a hard answer here. I think this is the first question where there's like a yes, this is the answer.
Yeah. Especially for people starting out, right?
Yeah.
If you go to the gym and you destroy yourself 2 times a week, great. But if you go to the gym 4 times a week consistently, you're going to make way more goals way faster.
For sure.
Consistency. Yeah. Now, if you've been consistent and that's checked off the list and you're starting to plateau, then look at intensity.
Yeah.
But that's definitely 1 and then 2.
Right. Like consistency has to come first.
Always.
Yeah. If you jump, kind of like what I said earlier, if you just jump straight into intensity and you go, you know, balls to the walls, 0 to 1,000, and you do that for a week, you're going to be so gassed, you're not going to want to be consistent. So yeah, consistency has to come.
And you're going to be so sore.
And you're going to be so sore.
And you're not going to recover. And then you're going to be asking us questions like, if I'm sore, should I be lifting? And then you end up skipping because you're doing too much intensity and not enough consistency.
And it all comes full circle.
All right, last question. Should everyone be tracking their macros, or is that overkill? Now, this we might have a little bit of a disagreement here.
Conflicting opinions here.
Because I'm a guy and you're a lady. And I think that I already know.
You're wrong.
Yep. I'm already mansplaining. We've made mistakes here today, guys. I know that you kind of are concerned about tracking macros might not be good for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that everyone should, at least once in their life, track your macros for like a month. What do you think to that? You don't love it.
I think a month is overkill. I think now one thing, so like I have clients that don't track macros at all. I generally don't track macros with clients. I don't track macros for myself either. Now I track protein. And I am of the mind that for the most part, if you are getting your protein in and you're making an effort, a conscious effort to eat whole foods and like actually eat meat and not just get like protein cookies all the time, your macros will kind of fall into place. Now they're not going to be beautifully perfect, but for me, it's about sustainability and longevity. And like, I don't want to be miserable. I want to be able to enjoy my life. I want to be able to eat cake and have fun and go have drinks and stuff. And so for me, I think macros are overkill. However, there are clients where I say, if you don't want to track it heavily, I think you should for maybe 3 days to a week, right? We get a week. That way you can get a feel of like, okay, this is what it feels like when my macros are in line.
Yeah.
Or, if you just want to do protein, this is what it feels like when my protein is in line where I need it to be. Because then you can kind of do some self-checking and see.
I will scale back and say maybe not a month, but I would say a week to 2 weeks.
I was right. You were wrong.
Yeah. Okay. See, we're going to meet in the middle. This is what it's all about.
We're going to meet in the middle.
So I would say a week to 2 weeks. And my thing there is, with the American diet, it's almost impossible to know how much macros you're getting. True. I would say only an arguable amount of people know that, a fist of chicken is a serving of protein. But what does that mean for my macros? And also, what are my macros supposed to be? Because my macros and your macros are going to be different.
Very different macros.
And so that would be something to reach out to a coach to. What's my daily calorie expenditure? What should I be shooting for? What should make my macro breakdown be? But even greater than all that is just being aware of what you're putting in your body. And I'll give you an example. I don't even know if you know this. So I used to be a big Good Sense guy. Loved a Good Sense. And I would get Mr. Good Sense on the way to the gym when I was training. Not when I was working out.
I would be vomiting everywhere.
No, like for my lunch, before I went in after lunch to do my shift at the gym. And I would stop by and I would get the chicken Alfredo. And it was only like, this big.
Yeah.
And back then it was like $10 or whatever. Now it'd be like 25 with inflation. But so I'd be eating this chicken Alfredo and I would just house it. And it was delicious. And I would get a chocolate chip cookie because they're right there and they're so good.
They're so yummy.
Well, one day I was like, I'm going to track what this is. I wonder what this is macros. My little portion of chicken Alfredo was 1,800 calories.
Oh my God.
And I will never, and I had like, smaller female patients that I was like, 1,800 calories or 1,850 is as many as you need for the day. And I was consuming them all in one chicken Alfredo. And then I was having a chocolate chip cookie. And I was the trainer going to work being like, yeah, guys, I got it figured out.
It's a classic case of do as I say, not as I do.
Correct. But my point being that until I tracked it, I didn't know, what that is. And also like, sauces. I think sauces are a huge sneaky calorie thing. Sauces and drinks.
And in America, I mean, what's our first instinct, right? You go anywhere. First instinct is, hey, waitress, can I have some ketchup? Or can I get some ranch with that?
Sure,
can I get some honey mustard? Like,
we're not in the Midwest at all.
Oh my gosh, it's not the Midwest. It's just, everything needs a condiment. How much mayo do you put on your sandwiches?
And that's tough too. Like, what is 20 calories of mayonnaise versus 50 calories? Yeah.
It's so much.
So I would say for that reason, don't track all the time. I get it. And I understand that calorie counting can lead to eating disorders. And I'm not, if you struggle with eating disorders or something like that, like I'm not saying that you should, but I think that the general population, especially if you're trying to get into health and you're trying to be more conscious, I think calorie counting is one of the best ways to kind of understand that as a concept It doesn't have to be all day, every day. Just for a week or two, I think it's really, really beneficial for
It's
everyone.
a good tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a gauge, a good tool. And if it's helpful for you to count nonstop, then count nonstop, right? Like it's not one size fits all, and we all have different needs, just like we all have different calorie breakdowns and macro counts. We all have different needs and different mentalities. So
for sure. And
you
also,
gotta find what works for you.
don't be so constrictive that you can't go out and have fun.
Yes. Go have fun.
Go have fun.
Have your cake and eat it too.
On
Just
your
not
birthday.
every day.
Just not every birthday. Not everyone's birthday.
Not everyone's birthday.
Yeah, if they bring you cake to your office for your birthday, you eat the cake. But if you live in a big office,
it's everyone's birthday all the time.
2-3 birthdays a month can get you. All right, anything else we want to add?
That's all our questions.
Hey, that was awesome. Thanks for doing.
Yeah, thanks for coming
and
doing it. Question for question. This was fun. We'll do it again.
Let's do it.
Let us know if you have any questions you want answered. And if there's enough, maybe we'll do it again. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Maybe not. We'll see. Okay, bye.
Bye.